Hey there, Ramon Osa with you here, and in this video we're going to talk about when you should use a topspin backhand and when you should use the old slice backhand. Let's get started. First off, you may be hitting one of these shots exclusively, and if that's working for you, don't fix it. And if you need help developing or fine-tuning either of these shots, stay tuned to the end because I'll have some videos that you're going to want to check out. So when should you use topspin and when should you use slice? Well, the short answer is it depends. And it depends on the answer to the 5 key questions that I'm going to ask you in just a second. Keep in mind that you're a different player than Bob, and Bob is a different player from Susie, and ultimately this is a preference-based decision, but I'm going to give you a few best practices in this video that you're going to want to follow most of the time. What I really want this video to be for you is a resource that you can keep coming back to that'll help you choose the right shot from the right spot when it comes to the old backhand slice versus topspin. So with that, let me ask you a few questions. For you, which shot are you more confident in? Which shot is your better shot? Leave it down in the comments down below. I'd love to know. This is the single most important factor when it comes to shot selection. You know, most players have sort of a preferred shot. They gravitate towards either the topspin or the backhand slice, and you want to know what your preference is first and foremost. Let me ask you another way. If you're under pressure in a match, which shot would you more likely hit? For me personally, I'm going to hit my drive or topspin backhand 60 to 70% of the time, and that number goes up to about 90 to 95% of the time on the return of serve. You want to know what shot you would probably hit if you're at break point down in the 5th set of the French Open. So what's it for you? Leave it down in the comments down below. What's your preferred shot? That's the single most important question you got to ask yourself. Now the second question is, what shot does your opponent dislike the most? Which shot has your opponent cursing under his breath every time you hit it? What? And as a side note, you really want to know the answer to this question before you play a point in a match if you can, because I tell my players all the time, it's way easier to bring your opponent's level of play down than it is to raise your level of play within a single match. And to do that, you really want to be like a detective during the warm-up and start paying more attention to your opponent. Now, I know this can be challenging, especially since you're warming up your shots too, but see if you can start to pay a little more attention to what your opponent doesn't like to do during the warm-up. That's going to help give you an idea of which shot might be effective on that given day. Most players below about the 4.5 level are going to have a pretty glaring weakness in their game, and you want to make that discovery of which shot they prefer to hit. Is it your topspin backhand or your slice backhand? And guess what? If you know your opponent likes hitting that big topspin backhand that you're hitting, maybe you want to throw a few slices in there at him. Play with this. You might be surprised by which shots give your opponents trouble. And as I said, if you want help developing either one of these shots, the slice or the topspin, stay tuned till the end because I have some great videos for you to check out. The third question I have for you is, are you set and balanced? Okay, are you in position to hit the ball in a balanced position, or do you feel more like you did at around midnight around New Year's Eve last year? Okay, this is going to influence what options you really have. Generally speaking, if you're in not so good position, you're on the run, the slice can bail you out. If you're really out of position and you're really stretched out wide, now we start talking about throwing up a lob to give you some time to hopefully work your way back into the point. If, on the other hand, you're set and perfectly balanced, well, it's player's choice again, and we're back to the first question I asked you. Which shot are you more confident in that situation? Make sense? Good. This works most of the time unless the positioning dictates otherwise, which brings me to question 4. Where are the players on the court?
What's up, player?
If you're playing singles, where are you going to receive this ball and where's your opponent standing? Same question in doubles. Now this obviously has a whole bunch of possibilities because players can be pretty much anywhere. For example, if you're right up on the baseline and your opponent is at the net because they just hit an approach shot, well, you're going to have to hit some kind of passing shot, and you might want to use a drive or heavy topspin here to whistle the ball through the court faster. Or if you're hanging out around the baseline and your opponent is 6 feet behind his baseline, maybe you want to hit a short angle slice, draw your opponent in here, kind of like what Federer does to set up easy passing shots, especially if your opponent only comes to the net to shake hands after a match. Now, for a lot of players, making them run is usually a good idea, and we can do that better actually with a short topspin angle shot because it runs them off the court. What if you're playing doubles and you get a short ball on your backhand side? A lot of variables at play here too, but I like the deep penetrating slice towards the guy at the baseline while you and your partner swarm the net like a couple of killer bees. That ball's gonna stay low, give you time to get in, and your opponent is gonna have a heck of a time trying to pass you guys up there. Now there's obviously a ton of other scenarios here that we can cover in a future video, but this will get you started. Now the final question I have for you is, where are you contacting this ball? Specifically, is this ball up around your shoulders? Is it down by your knees? Where is it? Generally speaking, if you're making contact between about your knees and your shoulder, it's really player's choice, and it's, again, back to the first question I asked you, which one are you more confident in? If the ball gets above your shoulders, now we start talking about the high ball, which kind of presents its own problems, and I actually made a video for you that really walks you through how to handle the high balls step by step. I'll link to that down in the description, so if you're having trouble with that, make sure to check out that video after you finish watching this one. If the ball's really low, if it's below your knees, the easier shot is usually to slice it, unless you've really mastered that topspin backhand passing shot and you're a fan of lunges. So those are the 5 big questions to ask yourself when you're talking about which shot should you choose, the topspin or the backhand slice. Now here's what's important to realize. When you first start doing this, you're gonna kind of go through a thought process. You're gonna start thinking a lot, which is about as good as having a heckler on the court with you.
You're all garbage! All of you!
So here's what I suggest for you. Go out there with a hitting partner and play with not only executing these shots better, but making the decision about which shot you're gonna choose faster and faster, because that'll help you stay committed to your shot, and it'll help you sort of clear your mind before you go to hit this ball. Another thing you can do, and this is a lot of fun, my wife and I do this together sometimes, put on a match on YouTube and then click the pause button in between each shot and put yourself mentally in the position of the player that's receiving the shot and ask yourself, which shot would I hit in this situation, topspin or slice? This will kind of pre-program your thought process so you're not thinking as much when you're on the court, and you'll be a star by Tuesday. Now, as I mentioned before, if you want help developing either the slice or the topspin backhand, I'll have a couple of playlists in the end credits here in just a second that you can check out. And if you want to take all the guesswork out of developing a really solid 1- or 2-handed backhand, slice, topspin, drive, everything, you should check out my courses, the simple 1-handed backhand and the simple 2-handed backhand, and I'll leave the links to that down below. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching this video. I had a great time making it for you, as I always do. If you found this video helpful, do me a favor and click the like button down below, and let me know in the comments what's your favorite shot. You like the slice or you like the topspin backhand? Don't forget to click the subscribe button down below and hit the bell notifications so you know when new videos come out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.